Do you think the longer time frame that Judge Robinson is taking to make this ruling, does that benefit Watson? Does it benefit anybody? Or is it just a judge kind of working through the entire system?
Well, I practiced in federal court for nearly 30 years, and I can count on one hand, less than 5 fingers, the number of times a federal judge has ruled on a motion inside of 1 month. Now, you might argue that Judge Robinson has no other cases, but she is a practicing attorney with presumably her own caseload. So looking at it from the perspective of a longtime litigator, it's not out of character for a ruling to be in abeyance for 17 days following a 3-day trial with witness testimony, presumably Deshaun Watson, post-hearing briefs. She needs time to digest that, to get everything right, to dot her I's, cross her T's, and make very specific factual findings based upon the evidence she reviewed. And from my perspective, the longer this takes, the better it may be for Deshaun Watson for 2 reasons. He continues to practice. Maybe he even gets into a preseason game. But more importantly, the principal defense that he's asserting in this hearing is that the National Football League has a disparate discipline system, and that even though the personal conduct policy states that the owners are held to a higher standard and are disciplined more severely than players, in actuality, they're not disciplined at all and don't even face investigations, in most of these situations involving Robert Kraft, Jerry Jones, Jimmy Haslam, and Dan Snyder. So the longer this runs out, I think it's highly likely she's writing a detailed opinion where she's going to address those issues of law, and in particular, the disparate discipline defense. Because if I'm Deshaun Watson, I want Sue Robinson to take her time. Not so much time that you lose the ability to go into federal court before week 1 of the NFL regular season, but we're nowhere close to that threshold. She could take any point within the next 2 weeks to release a decision, even if it's on April or August 14th. And there would still be sufficient time to get into federal court following an appeal to Roger Goodell and potentially seek a temporary restraining order or preliminary injunction. Now, Roger Goodell could sit on this. He could really sit on this, but under the time frame specified in Article 46 of the CBA, the appealing party has to file their brief within 3 business days. The response to that brief is due 2 business days after that. So we're going to have a fully briefed appeal 1 week after Judge Robinson enters her written decision, and all Roger Goodell can do as the appellate judge is to either increase or decrease the discipline or keep it the same. If he goes beyond 1 or 2 weeks of deliberation, that's going to look very fishy and not exactly something that would do anything but invite suspicion that the NFL is sitting on this case and taking its sweet time to harm Deshaun Watson's rights. And if the league and the commissioner do that, that's going to underscore or bolster Deshaun Watson's claim of irreparable harm when he goes to federal court. So as a practical matter, I think the appellate review process takes no more than 3 weeks from the date of Judge Robinson's decision. And as long as Robinson can get into federal court by Labor Day, he has a shot at securing a temporary restraining order to put him back on the field in time for week 1 of the NFL regular season on September 11th. So from my vantage point, anything within the next 2 weeks, we're in the clear. But once we go past August 14th, I would begin to worry that Deshaun Watson is not going to have sufficient time to play out the review process and have a federal court weigh in prior to week 1 of the NFL regular season. So let's pump the brakes on the panic. We all want to see the decision and are anxiously awaiting it, but it is not atypical for a federal judge to have a complex motion like this under review for even as long as 1 month or longer. Barbara Jones did that in the Ray Rice case when she presided as an arbitrator hearing his review or appeal of a 4-game suspension. That took nearly a month to write the appellate decision following the initial hearing. So if she issues a ruling anytime within the next few days, the next week, the next 2 weeks, I think Watson's chances at getting a federal court ruling at the end of the line prior to week 1 are extremely high.